Two women, one passion, one brand. What do you do when your job doesn't allow you to follow your passion? You quit your job and you start your own business. Hear their story and why they did it right after the intro.
Why is actually, I mean, the most interesting question, I think, out of everything, because we didn't actually plan this. We thought that, maybe like if we don't actually end up doing something separately, we'll probably do something together.
Handmade being the core of our brand, we don't do anything that is machine based.
Why don't you go get us through why handmade is better? Because if you're so focused on it, there must be something special about it, right?
I think it's because also like it's imperfect. It takes time. It takes a lot of thought. It's not something that is mass produced. So we don't mass produce in general. Like we only make a garment when we get an order for it. So we don't have like a lot of stock because we really value our textiles. We don't want to waste them. That's again, like when you want to do handmade, you want to value what you do because you know the amount of effort, the amount of skill and the amount of time you're putting into everything you're doing, right? So we want to value that and we want our customers also to value that.
Is that more of a Calcutta thing or have you seen that all over India?
To be able to, get passed on with like these skills. So right now when we speak to karigars, we speak to people who are in this industry, they always are like, मेरे दादाजी ने मुझे ये सिखाया था, या ये the particular loom that they are working on has been passed on to them like 100 years back. So it has already been in their blood, like they are putting this in their kids also.
Why is actually, I mean, the most interesting question, I think, out of everything, because we didn't actually plan this. Like it was a very, like a very hasty and a very like not very well thought out plan. We actually had similar interests and similar tastes. And, like we thought that, maybe like if we don't actually end up doing something separately, we'll probably do something together. Like that was just like a rough conversation we had, like just randomly, right? And it just like came together when Suhasini was actually doing a job right out of college, and she was not very happy with it. Like she studied in Pearl Bombay. So when she came back, she was not very happy with the company she was working in, with the designer that she was working with. So then, like it was really funny. Like I told her, like, just leave it. Like 4 days into it, I was like, just leave it. We'll do something together. And that's how we just started. Yeah. So I really into it. So
I was actually testing the waters at the job.
So let's go with what your job was. Let's go with that. What was your job exactly?
So I am actually, my main focus is textiles. And it has been like that in college and my internships as well. So when I joined this particular job, I was promised to, like grow on the textiles bit. But I was pulled more towards like embroidery and colors and things that weren't my forte, and I didn't want to grow on them ultimately. So 3 days into it, and I was right here. And
So Asini, before you get too deep into this, you have to explain what is textile, what is embroidery, what is whatever else you spoke about, because we have no idea. We are like, treat us like kids who are like, coming to you for the first time. We have zero knowledge. So you have to explain everything to us because we will have zero clue what you're talking about.
All right, done.
So yeah, what is textile?
Okay, so I wanted my focus to be textile. Primarily, that means the fabric out of which the garment is made. And my focus was handloom textiles. If you know, India is rich in handloom textiles. So basically, weaving of those textiles was my forte back in college and also my internships. And when I took up that job, I was promised to be invested in that particular area but I was being pulled out and given like extra work, things that didn't drive that spark, if I may say, from inside, and it wasn't me. And I met her, I think, every day, all 3 days of my job, I met her. And every day we used to be like, okay, so this is what I have done, this is what you have done. And it was almost like plagiarism. Like it was almost like we had copied each other and made like assignments because it was that similar. So we were just like, how is it possible? And if so, why aren't we like doing anything together? And the 4th day, I was supposed to get like a what is it?
Specialization?
No, like a letter from like the hiring team from the company. And before they could offer me that, I was just like, I quit. And they're like, you're not even hired. What are you saying? How do you quit? I said, no, so this is not something that I want to do. So, yeah. And I think a week later, we were already into production. Like from the day
Wow.
of me quitting, we bought things. Yeah, we bought things. We had like a list ready. And a week, say 10 days later, I think we were in production.
Because I wasn't doing anything. I had just gotten married and I was trying to figure things out. And she was also, of course, like, trying to look for something. And we already had that conversation. So it was very organic for us that, okay, this is the next step. Like, we'll just go ahead with this and just do this. And we actually started out of an old office. So, like, just things fell into place for us very, very nicely. And we got really lucky, I think. Yeah.
Luck comes to those who push for it, right?
When you say you got into production 1 week later, what was it that you were producing?
So by production, I mean we were already at sampling stages. So, there are like stages of like a complete garment. You start with like sketches, you finalize the textiles, you like the fabric that goes into the making, you finalize what is your inspiration and how your entire range of that particular collection will look like.
Like individual garments, basically.
Individual garments.
Coming together cohesively to make a collection. Like that is what a collection is. Like say a range of 15 to 20 garments like clothes which come together cohesively, have a similar inspiration or ideation behind it, and then they form a collection. So that actually is a very long process, like a very lengthy process, but it just like for us, we were just like sketching out ideas and we just want to like get it together in one place and then shortlist and like, like brainstorm and just finally come to the, like the conclusion.
So of course, this process takes a lot of time. But when I say we were already producing, it means we had already started our sampling stages. So like making the final garment in like rough cloth, basically. So yeah, 10 days into this, we had already started that.
So basically, like, I want to just get the timeline in my head correctly. So you all were designing, sketching all this before you even thought of formally doing this? Like you were just, what was how come that had already started before you started to work together? Or was that just a doodling coming together and...
Just putting your thoughts on paper is like, when it is on paper, once you realize it on paper, you actually know what is working, what is not working, because actually moving on to the cloth bit is actually very, it's an expensive
affair.
Yeah, like it's something expensive. Like, and because we didn't know which direction we were headed, just putting it on paper helped us understand, like maybe these are the things we want to go ahead with, these are the things that don't resonate with us, so we want to completely eliminate those. So just the ideas need to be on paper in front of us rather than just being in our heads, that way.
And again, with the sampling stages, our team back then was really tiny. Like it was probably like two to three people excluding us. And from there onwards, once we had like samples in place, then we had like after a couple of weeks or say months, we had like our fabrics in place. Then it comes together. So we started in June end we started, and we did our first ever launch was October 1st.
I love the to and fro.
Thank you.
I love how you're like, we started, when did we start? June. And you're like, oh, that's so nice. I love it.
My timelines are really messed up. Like, I don't know.
Let's roll it back a little bit. So, where do you guys come from? Why do you guys do this? You would have done
So
anything
both of
else,
us
right?
actually stay in Calcutta. We've actually studied both of us have studied in Calcutta. She went to Bombay for her college, studied design in Pearl Bombay, and I studied design in NIFT Calcutta. I'm actually 5 to 6 years elder to her, so like that difference is there. But like that, it actually helps because there are like she probably has fresher ideas a lot of times, and like that really helps because as a new brand you want to be as dynamic as possible, right? So that difference helps us. And because we're both from here, I think our tastes are more like our sensibilities are more more to the city, like more for the city, not to the city. But like how Calcutta has like it's heavy on textiles, and it has like well made garments and like very well known designers like Anamika Khanna, Sabyasachi, all of them are from Calcutta. So it's a very like there are very good craftsmen here. So there is so much to do, like so much to play with, that that part really always intrigued us. Like we were always into like handmade things and like just doing things with hand. Like right now, so we will not type on a phone. Like we'll not do it on paper. Like we'll just make lists on paper. Like that's how we are. So I mean, like these things have really like brought us together. So we always wanted to do like things with hand woven textiles, and that was I think I think the most important common point between the two of us. So I think that's how we
And Handmade being the core of our brand, we don't do anything that is machine based. So be it like sourcing textiles, be it sourcing embroidery. So embroidery becomes like any surface ornamentation that goes on the fabric. So be it, so everything's hand done. Like even our finishing, like everything is hand done, and like we are very designated. I would say like very designated steps also that define like each garment. Like handmade being the core.
Why don't you go get us through why handmade is better? Because if you're so focused on it, there must be something special about it, right?
I think it's because also like it's imperfect. It takes time. It takes a lot of thought. It's not something that is mass produced. So we don't mass produce in general. Like we only make a garment when we get an order for it. So we don't have like a lot of stock because we really value our textiles. We don't want to waste them. That's again, like when you want to do handmade, you want to value what you do because the amount of effort, the amount of skill, and the amount of time you're putting into everything you're doing, right? So we want to value that, and we want our customers also to value that. So when we tell them that it's hand embroidered, it's surprising how many people actually understand the value of it versus when we say something is machine made. I mean, it's actually very, very nice. Like people in India actually understand that.
Is that more of a Calcutta thing, or have you seen that all over India?
I think it's more in Calcutta and maybe more in the south because south is also it has a lot of textiles.
Rich in culture, like rich in heritage. To be able to get passed on with like these skills. So right now when we speak to karigars, we speak to people who are in this industry, they always are like, मेरे दादाजी ने मुझे ये सिखाया था, या ये the particular loom that they are working on has been passed on to them like say 100 years back. So it has already been in their blood, like they are putting this in their kids also. Versus machine made could be like right now I'm a layman, 3 days into it, I would be knowing how the machine works.
So it requires a particular skill set. I mean, it's something that it comes to you after you like it hones you. Like you have to hone it. You can't be born with it, right? I mean, you need to practice it. You need to like spend time with it and actually learn it to actually like understand and be able to do it well.
Do you know we just hit 100 subscribers? And that's all because of you. Give us more. Let's get to 200 quickly so that next time we say 200. Coming to the business side of things, how has your experience been with money? How has your experience been with sales, with marketing, with outreach?
I think when we started out, the pandemic had just hit. So we started out in October, and like March we were in lockdown, right? So that initial period of like say 1.5 years was a complete struggle for us because we had just started out our brand even on social media, and till then, social media was not that big a thing as it is now post-pandemic. So we actually didn't know what to do, like when it comes to reaching out to people and like, market your product and tell them what is it that you do and why is it priced the way it is priced, right? Because the minute you offer touch and feel to someone, will they understand, okay, so this feels premium, so I'm willing to pay a premium for it, versus if I see something online and I don't understand it, I'm not going to pay for it. So initially, the sales bit were definitely a struggle and it took a really big hit. But I think once we started doing offline shows, like we traveled to different cities in India, once we started doing that, I think people understood, like how it feels on the skin. Once you slip on something that is handmade and it's a natural product, like natural fibers, natural fabrics. So once you understand the premiumness of it, will you be able to willing to, like go out and like buy it, right? Versus ordering online, like from Zara or say H&M or any of these fast fashion brands. So I think we caught up, I would say approximately 2 years later.
How did you all keep the funding alive, or where were you getting the funding for the first couple of years?
So we are actually a bootstrapped startup. So I mean, initially we had like a few shows that we were doing. Like, even if there was one show happening in Calcutta, we would just like go out and do it, because that would like mean reaching out to new people, right? Even if it's 10 new people, it helps us. So that, and we actually went online with a few of the well-known, better-known platforms who were selling clothes of other designers. So, the minute you are on a particular platform that is well-renowned, you get a sort of credibility, right? I mean, they will, like customers would buy your product because you're on this particular platform. Like, for example, if you're on Ogan, like this is one of the leading multi-designer websites and offline stores in India. So if the minute you are on a website like that, it gives you that kind of credibility that people want, like when they're purchasing online. So these were a couple of things that we thought did work for us. And till date, we are, like working with them.
So you say you sell or you make garments only based on orders. So is it now just basically something online, or how are people getting in touch with you other than online? Where are you displayed? Where are you? Like, do you have a store? Do you have a place that people can get in touch with you physically?
Yeah, so we also have like a workshop come studio space here in Calcutta, where it's also our production unit, but also we have like a teeny tiny space where we have our garments on display. So, when you go out and do events, say in Calcutta, by events I mean exhibitions. So when you do these, people get to know you. So even if they don't buy it in that particular event, they take your contact and they want to come back to you. So we do get calls back saying that, hi, are you in Calcutta? We want to come see your product. We liked it then. So this is how it also spreads. So yes, one is our tiny retail space. The second would be our presence elsewhere in offline stores. So be it like a Purnia's or an Azza or an Ogan. So we try and be present in such stores also, because yes, it adds to your credibility list, if I say, because these brands don't take up anybody and anybody. They do their background check as to what our quality is, whether we can deliver, what our price range is, whether we are real, like real producers also, that way. So second being stores, third being exhibitions. So exhibitions, I feel like, because Ritika and I travel together, it gives the customers a one-on-one with us. So, we get a chance to explain and justify our products. So that really adds. Plus, even being intercity, I think they come back to us saying that, because we've bought from you before, we know your quality, you got our sizing correct. Now, we can continue this relationship over text or on Instagram, whatever. So apart from online, I think physically being present really helps us also, because our target market is, I would say 35 plus.
So we are talking about customer as a wholesale, right? We are talking about, we do exhibitions, customers show up. We do exhibitions, a lot of customers show up, right? I want to know how many. I want to know, let's say I do an exhibition for 100 rupees. How many rupees can I make out of that exhibition? What's your conversion rate kind of thing?
I think if it were a good show, we would do about like 10 times of it, 10 times of the cost.
Yeah.
Is this revenue?
it's-
Is this revenue or profit?
Revenue.
Okay. Are you guys
and
comfortable
yeah.
discussing numbers first? I want to clarify.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go again.
So if it's a really good show, like a 2-day show, a 1-day show, that kind of revenue is difficult because, you know, the 2-day show attracts, like even there are people who are contemplating whether they want to buy it or not. The second day helps them, like, you know, come back. If they like something, they have the chance to come back. So a 2 or a 3-day show helps us obviously clock more revenue because there are more days, more people coming in. Especially if it's a weekday, a lot of people don't want to come in a weekday. So that way. And if it's a 1-day show, I would say about
5 times.
3 to 5 times.
3 to 5 times.
What about profit? What are your margins like? So this is the gross profit that you guys can clock in.
It would be 100%.
So he was asking, so per garment has approximately 100% margin, because right now we also want to be affordable if we, compete with like fellow brands. And they sell a product at say 10K. We want to be able to sell that same product at 7K. So that there is like good, like a good marginal difference
Someone to come back.
for someone to lure them to us. So for starters, per product margin, maybe close to 100%. For certain products, it's not even 100%, to be honest. But
Can I just
yeah,
So just to give you guys a better idea, so for garments, say for example, if I'm buying say a kurta is like a longer version of a shirt. So if I'm buying a kurta, that is the main garment, that will say have 100% margin. But for example, if I want to buy a pair of pants with it that go well with it, like, you know, otherwise maybe the kurta is of no use to me. So the minute it's a complementary product, the margins go down considerably. Like the profit margins go down considerably. For the main product, I would say the margins would be about 100%.
So where do you see it? Where do you see the growth? So like what I mean by that, I'll clarify. Your industry does not have very high barriers to entry. For example, you guys, right? You guys have a little background in textile. You guys know a few producers. Your designs might be special, right? But a lot of people's designs are special. So how do you set yourself apart from everybody else other than price?
I think our colors are definitely one of our most. I think people have called it like interesting. Like it's a very interesting color palette that you have because it's probably fresh. We like to play with colors. I like to believe we can think better in terms of colors and fabrics rather than in terms of, say, like, you know, designing too much or like putting too much in it. Like make simple things but make them wearable, again at a decent price point, but at the same time keep them fresh. And because the target audience is say 35 plus, they want something that is very comfortable on the skin. So we make sure that we do custom outfits. Like for example, if someone prefers a particular neckline or a particular length, so we do custom fits a lot. So that is again one of our biggest advantages, like, you know, being size inclusive. Like we make garments from extra small to say a custom 5XL, 6XL at the same price. Even if the costs for us are higher, we would do it at the same price. So I think these are some of the few advantages we have over others who do not offer these. Like, you know, like a customization, for example, would be something that most people don't offer.
I think one thing that really stood out for us, barring the design, barring the price point, barring the colors, these were the most obvious things that could set us apart. But the one thing that we saw was missing at like like at a bigger disposable level, like at a bigger level was, so you get pret outfits that are everyday wear, and you get occasion wear, which is you wear it at events, parties, weddings, all of that. But there is a segment in between these that not a lot of people were tapping. So, you know, like right now, if I have a dinner to go to, I can't go in regular clothes, but I won't wear very like heavy garments. So, you know, like good formal, semi-formal type of clothes, I think this was missing in the market that we were entering.
Yeah, I think as clients also, like that is something I'm looking for, like when I go out to like actually buy something. It's mostly for the in-between things. Like for the lighter or for the heavier things, I always have something that I'm probably willing to wear over and over again. But for the, you know, the one that is in between, I want to get something that is different, and I want to like go out and buy it, but I don't get it. So I felt like that was something that was definitely a gap.
And this is something that we didn't notice. We were doing it naturally, but a lot of people, even our age, I would say, like from 25 to 35, which was not our target initially. Even we started hearing from them as well. So you know how India has a tradition of, say, trousseau shopping. When a girl gets married, the boy side and the girl side, they offer like new clothes. So you need like a good bracket of in between sort of clothes. So we started getting a lot of these people, and we were just like, how are we getting these people? Because we weren't intentionally designing for them. Now we know that this can be our strength, you know, because there are not a lot of people who are doing this in between segment correctly.
Inspired by Ritika and Suhasini? Hit that like button below so we can get more such people for you.
So, you know, you already spend a lot in, say, your wedding shopping. You need good clothes that are pricey, that even go up to like lakhs in India. So then for this in-between sort of range, they do not want to spend a lot. So one, if you're affordable. Second, if you're good in terms of designing. Third, if you're giving them premium products. You know, you're giving them you're giving them reasons one after the other to come back to you. So I feel like this really works for us. I think still, like till date works for us.
How is how have you all experienced working with each other? How did that come about? How has that been? It's been what, 4 years almost now? Or you said June end, so I think 4 years almost to the day.
Yeah.
For you, people would expect it to be very spicy, but it's actually very, like, it's been very normal for us. Like, you know, we've been very, like, if we've had disagreements, we've always like spoken about it, like be it over text or, you know, like even face to face. But it's been fairly simple for us. Like we've not had to try too much. Also, again, we're kind of the similar age group. Like even though 5 years like a decent enough gap, but like it's never like really come in between us. Like, you know, the fact that we think differently a lot of times, but I think we were okay with managing conflicts also. I mean, we've always spoken about it, and I think both of us believe that, you know, like having uncomfortable conversations comfortably is something that we need to do if you want to make this work. And both of us want to make this work, and we know it. So I think that was very clear in our head from the start.
I think one thing that has definitely been a realization of late is I stopped looking at her as my relative, like a Barbie. I call her that, but you know, it's never that I am younger or she's older, so she's to take more responsibilities or I have to do certain things. You're always an equal in a relationship. If the work is 50-50, it has to be 50-50. Of course, there are days, probably even weeks, where, you know, a certain person doesn't contribute enough. But you know how a relationship works, it's not always 50-50. This is, I would say, as good as any other relationship. Like,
I think it's a very answered understanding that we have, that we just have to do this. Like, we can make up for each other easily, I think.
but I think more than the disagreements, it's just surprising how similar things can be. Like, you know, not just in terms of designing or liking, say, a particular color. Oh, you like this color? I like it too. That is definitely there. But like on a very business level, even like financial decisions, whether we want to do a particular show, whether we want to tap a celebrity, whether we want to like even
Invest
put
in something,
put more money into the business or take money out of the business, like very, very like I would say crucial financial decisions, I believe that is also to a very large extent very similar.
I want some beef on you. I want one of the conflicts, like a major one, where you were like gonna crash each other's heads.
Like it has to be on like a particular design. Like I like this color. No, I don't like this color.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more about like, okay, am I gonna make it like this? No, we're gonna do this about. Like, we're gonna add this fabric to it. No, we're not gonna do this. Like, it's actually, it's not been what you would expect. I mean, maybe something in the future, and I will definitely call you and tell you, okay, this happened, Akhil. But as of now, I think
because very so these conflicts you can afford having. Like like right now, if I don't like a particular thing that is happening, I can just tell her, but it's one garment or it's one particular fabric, and it's not costing us a lot. So you let the other person breathe. You let the person have their space and make their own mistake. We've both done that, and we've come out of it knowing that, okay, I did this, but probably, like next time be better types.
also, I think if it's not resonating with the brand, we will scratch it off completely. But if we feel like it's not too much of a deviation from it, I think I would like to stick to it, even if one of us don't agree with the other.
Yeah, but like on the other hand, when it's a financial decision or when it's like a very big sort of admin decision that we want to hire someone, or we want, like probably
Let go of someone.
to let go of someone, or to maybe increase what we are taking out of the business, I think that we generally, even if we have a conflict, we generally sleep over it.
Because get help also.
Yeah, and because this is something we know that will affect our business long term. So both of us, I think, are that reasonable that we want to be.
Yeah, it has to be worth it.
And I'm seriously telling you, we're not doing this for the podcast. We are like that. We are not painting a pretty picture. We are like that. So we keep saying this also. So Ritika is married. So Ritika is married and I'm not. So, but we still call each other like our first husbands. Like we're like, we fight with our fellow partners more than we fight with each other. And it's unreal.
So, do you all divide up stuff? Is there, this is yours, this is mine, I'm responsible for X, Y, Z, you're responsible for the other thing? Or do you all do everything collaboratively, or how does that work?
I think initially when we started out, there was more of a divide because we felt like, one specializes in one thing and the other probably specializes in the other. But eventually we realized that, when one of us is away, say if I'm traveling and she has to handle all of it, it's just better if both of us know everything that's happening. And whenever, need be, we can always like help out,
Step in.
more. Yeah. But initially that divide was there, but I think now it's kind of integrated. It's not there.
In fact, I think we thought that this divide would
Help us.
No, like I thought it would grow. Like, I would do my set of things, you would do
Yeah,
yours.
yeah.
Because we were asked this, that, right now, to chalo, y'all don't know what y'all are like doing so much. So y'all are like overlapping in terms of like activities or like things to do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought it would grow, the divide would further grow. But I've just come to this realization that it's integrated further.
And I think we like it that way.
Yeah.
More comfortable.
On a daily basis, yes, we do have a set of activities to do, like, like when we're traveling. It's given that I do the hotel and stay, she does the exhibition part, like she gets the stall done, like the GST bit done. Like it's an unsaid thing. So that is all right. But it's not like if she is away or I am away, like either of us can't handle the other bit.
Could you do it without each other?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I would. No, like,
I think we could.
if she's away for like a week,
I think we have. I don't want to sound too boastful, but I think we have unrealized potential. When there is pressure, I think we can do everything. I absolutely believe so. I think everyone can do everything.
No, so yes, of course, you would do.
I don't think we realize it.
No, of course, like I'm not saying that we're unskilled or like we can't do certain
No,
things.
but there are certain things you probably do better. But like even like I could probably do it even when you're not there. I would.
No, so this was not the question. The question is, would I do it alone? Like, would I just do Nesolo like 100% me? No. My question
Of
is.
course, given a choice, no. No, but I think if need be, I think both of us can, we can pull it off.
Yeah, we can step up, yes. But I think our answers differ here. No, I can't do it.
Dude, they're too loyal to each other. They're too loyal to each other. We can't get your divisive tactics are not going to work.
Chalo, considering that a single person can build a Nesolo, let's say somebody gets inspired watching this episode to start their own design firm, maybe in your city, maybe elsewhere. What is something that you realized in the past 3 years which you really wish you had known when you were going to start? Something major or like a couple of things?
I think it would be some of the costs we incurred. I mean, it might be a really stupid realization or maybe something that everyone has. But like some of the places where we've actually like spent money, I felt like there was so many of these times where we could like just save all of that and make use of it much better today. Like in this situation, much better. I think investing in the wrong places has been one of our biggest.
But it's a lesson, of course. I mean, it's an expensive lesson, but it's ultimately a lesson. And it's better to do it early on because you're still like not spending so much.
Yeah, the scale of it is lower.
The scale of it is low, so the blow is softer, I would say. Still a blow, but it's softer.
To like pinpoint up one particular expense would be like social media. So for social media, initially we were not very like, because it was new for us post pandemic. You know how a brand is on social media. What are the do's and don'ts for a brand on social media to sell on social media? That was a struggle for us, and we just grabbed onto the first company that we got to know of, and we just like spent way more than we should have, and not realizing whether it was worth it. Like
Worth it because ultimately, yes, you spend, but also see what you're getting for it, right? If I'm spending an X amount, it should be worth it. And till we got like a knock on our head from like a third person, both of us were just like, okay, you know, like
we were doing it merrily, like
it was like a blind, it was like a blind investment that could have been disastrous had we
continued. Yeah, for sure.
So do you all do social media yourselves today, or is it still outsourced?
So we actually did it ourselves for a bit, but we felt like because we are not trained in it, we're not doing it the way it should be done. Like when it comes to strategy, maybe we cannot think the way a brand strategy is supposed to work. Like when it comes to design, maybe we can handle it, like the graphic bit of it or just the designing bit of it. But I felt the strategy was something we couldn't do it, and we just felt like we were lagging behind. And we actually reached out to a friend to do it, but now we've given it to a proper company, and they're doing a much better job than we ever could.
Yeah, that's true. Because our ultimate goal was to always make our Instagram look pretty.
Yeah.
You know, if someone stumbles on Nesolo, they enter the page, it should look like, oh wow, it's a Pinterest board. But it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to be rather transparent and sort of informative also to a certain extent. Right now, if I only keep putting like garments and pretty campaign shots, why will they follow you? They can always just ask for a lookbook and never follow you, right? So you have to give them more than clothes. It has to be
A story.
It has to be a story. It has to be a lifestyle. You have to put your face forward. We were so shy doing like lives or like being seen in Nesolo, or like, you know, for example, even doing this for that matter.
Absolutely.
But then we realized that why will people come to you when they don't know you? When someone personally knows me, they see Nesolo on me,
And it resonates, you know, like you have to be the brand. Like you cannot expect other people to wear your clothes when you are not out there confidently wearing them, right? So I mean, yeah, I think we are trying to work on that.
And I think this is a decision that we're very consciously taking now to be seen more in Nesolo. Like incorporate our designs in our wardrobe, be seen in Nesolo, whether like an errand that we're running, like even if we're going to like a, you know, like a fabric vendor in like a local shop, we're in Nesolo, like a more everyday outfit. And even if there is an occasion or like a celebration or whatever, try and be seen in Nesolo so you catch more eyes.
Do you know the last video? It hit 200 views. Share this one. Let's get this to 1,000.
Where did the name come from?
Uh, Actually, when we started out, we were very like we didn't know what to call it first. We thought we would probably go by our names, but then that just didn't make sense. It didn't stand out, and then we thought it has to resonate with what are the crux of our brand is, and it's always been handmade things, hand woven things, and hand woven things are done by people, right? So just to give credit to the people who help us make these things. So the meaning of Nesolo is ni solo, which is not alone. So we are actually trying to give credit to everyone who is with us in this entire process. Like one garment is going through so many different hands, from the fabric to the cutting to the stitching to say the finishing, the ironing, the QC bit. So there are so many hands that are involved in a garment making process. So we thought, I think the best way to do it, we thought the best way to do it would be to give credit to these people, because that is something that will not change no matter how much our brand evolves with time. The people behind it will always be the brand, like more than us. It's going to be about them because they are making everything that you see. So I
So
think
it's actually when you make progress, when you sort of succeed, you take the people behind and you give them credit for that win.
yeah, like we try to be more transparent. We try to show the process. We try to put stories where, you're seeing people do things with hand. So things like that, just to show you that, you can see how it's all happening, like how it's coming together, just to make everyone understand the value of it and to make them a part of it.
That
This
was
also
so beautifully put.
honestly,
That
like
was
that
like,
also helps us justify, like if you're a above average price point, adding value to the process adds value to the end product, right?
Yeah.
So I think that really helps us also justify our price point. Like we know we're probably slightly on the pricier side, but you see why. So I think they're that.
No, I had a very funny moment with Nisolo's sort of, what do I say, your domain name, because it says we are Nisolo, I think is what it says. And I kept reading it as
Yeah.
We
where.
did.
Oh, that
I
happens.
kept reading it as where, and I was like, you like, why have they spelled where with an E? And then it struck me that no, it's not where, it's we are. And I was like, okay, that makes so much more sense.
I was gonna say that is very beautifully put. And a lot of people, unless they hear it from your own mouths, unless they hear it coming from you, would never understand, like, the intricacies and the meaning that people put into just something as simple as a name.
But a lot of people, it's surprising how many people have actually asked us what Nesolo means and where it's come from. And honestly, just given like where we live and in between who we live, it was very surprising to actually be asked this question, ki, what does Nesolo actually mean? Like there were aunties who came up to us and be like, "Acha beta, ye kyun na? Matlab, why this name?" And we were like, "Wow, aapko actually interest hai."
But I mean, it's actually nice when people ask you questions because it shows that they want to know, right? I mean, they're not just bothered about the product, they want to know more. It's actually nice to talk to people about your brand also.
I think that's the beauty of there being so many brands suddenly, because everyone now wants to form a connection and people are looking for something to resonate with, something to connect with. So I think them finding out about the name or, the philosophy or whatever drives what you all create helps them relate to what you're selling and helps them sort of form their own personal connection with the brand. And that, I guess, sets you apart in their minds from everyone else who's out there.
Absolutely. And like funnily, like when they see, I don't know, like this has worked for us, but when they see us, like, girls, two girls of this age, like, selling, going out, maybe travel to an exhibition and like, like spend 3-4 nights away and like, just stand the whole day selling clothes. They're actually surprised that, you're taking so much of pain to actually come to another city, travel all the way, do the entire display, then sell all day. And then, like, they're actually intrigued that, you can actually put so much of an effort to make your brand work. Like, I mean, it's really surprising that, but it helps us. I mean, that makes them feel like, it means so much to us. And, it makes them believe because they see two people like, actually, like, you're going to connect.
Regular.
Like, you can connect with someone like, every day looking and like, like not very idealistic. And, like, I think just clothes wise also, when you're not making something that is very, very like, it cannot be worn by a lot of people versus something that, you can just slip on and go out. Like, things like that, I think have really helped us. Very relatable content, I think, and garments, I think, have been one of our advantages.
So we have a very loyal viewer of ours, Dinesh Gajwani. He has a question for you guys. He would like to ask you about your experience with your first employee.
First employee.
Disastrous. Disastrous. That man has taken us for a ride, and how? Like, he really helped us? Or we were thinking he was helping us?
But I feel like the minute they see like two girls, they underestimate you, and then they feel like they can, like, they just like take advantage, and like we wouldn't know. So it was a bit unpleasant, but I think we learned in the process. And I think today the kind of team that we have, like, we are so proud and so happy. Like, we are backed by them. Like, if it's a long night, like they would stay over in our workshop, and they would like work the entire night and get up in the morning and work again. So it's
With a
been
smile.
yeah,
With a smile. They would do that. But to be honest, in the last 4 years, we have been taken for a ride a couple of times, and it's taken us a while. Like, it's taken us a minute to understand who's correct and who's not. And earlier, while like lashing out or removing someone from the team, we used to really get affected. Emotionally, because we were like, these people are living, making a living because of us, and theek hai, it's okay.
we would
And
forgive, I think, more earlier, but I think we learned it the hard way. And yeah, I think the first employee was definitely the biggest learning curve out of everybody.
100%,
Absolutely.
100%. So he was actually the head chap. There is a master in like every unit. So the master basically cuts all the garments. He doesn't stitch, he only cuts. So he is actually the head because he can guide other people as to how this garment has to be made. So, ultimately, on an everyday basis, your conversation is more with the master rather than the tailor. You explain it to the master that this is my vision. The master sort of does his magic, and then the tailor is explained by the master that this was ultimately the design and this is how you have to execute it.
So he's basically the one leading your execution.
Yeah, he's the most technically sound person
Yeah.
in the entire setup, basically.
And he sort of dictates the terms of the workshop. How positive or how negative, how hardworking, how
Like, he guides everybody.
like how developing honestly your workshop can be. So ultimately, if you do hire a tailor, you can train them to be a certain way. Right, what my tailor was on day one versus how he is after 3.5 years, there is a huge difference of how
much he's grown.
How much he's grown, and that really, I think, truly the credit goes to the master because he can gauge as to how much a person can take on and what he can do and what his real potential is. So he gave us like a really, I don't know if I should say this, but like a very below average crappy team who he could manipulate, saying that
You do this, you do that, and maybe you don't do this, you don't do that.
you don't do that. And even if there was potential in a particular person, if you're told that this is your salary, you don't need to do extra, why would that person do, right? If I'm being fed with like lazy thoughts, why would I do extra?
So just that manipulation and like the entire team, the entire mentality was absolutely brainwashed. That was very unpleasant because we were dependent on everyone. Like, every person is very important in the entire process. Of course, master being the most important. and he actually took the other route to it. So it was
So this was genuinely learning the hard way. Like,
So essentially your link between like yourself and the tailors was spoiled. So then like the whole everything just went. Yeah.
no, so and because of
Damn,
him, because
that's
of
quite
the first employee, it wasn't just the master that we had to replace. We had to get rid of the entire team. Like we were wiped out overnight.
yeah.
Damn. So how did
that
you
was
recover?
quite the rude awakening.
Would you like to connect with any of our incredible founders? Do you have a business opportunity in mind? Do let us know. Reach out to us or get in the comments below. Let's see what we can do. What was your recovery process like then? So your team goes away, now you need a new master, new team. What do you do? Where do you go? How do you find them?
Like we were frantically looking for like texting. I was texting people who are in the same industry as me. She was texting people she knew from in college, like, you know, just things like that. We were just like texting people and getting new people to do trials with. So I can do a trial, stitch a garment and see whether the garment is looking the way it's supposed to look. So that's how you understand whether the master is up to the mark or not. So we were actually doing that in the middle of having like so many pending orders. In the middle of that, we had like so much left to deliver, and we didn't know how we would even like cut, stitch anything, because there was absolutely no one in our workshop. Like we were just the two of us. There was nobody.
There was actually a time when we discussed should we do it because we know how to stitch.
We were really panicking because we were like getting calls and we didn't know what to do. And we were just like pushing our timelines, leaving like apologetic messages to people and like just regrets. But I think trial after trial, we eventually we were able to build up the team, and now I think we are 9 or 10 people strong. So I think it happened slowly, but I think we're steady. Happily.
You know, when you actually say certain things out, things like this,
Like, experience it all over again.
yeah.
If you had to do this all over again, if you had, like, if you were starting Nesolo today, if you were starting out with 0 employees today, would you start with doing everything by yourselves and then getting someone on board?
I don't think so.
You can't do this by yourselves.
I just feel like, we've learned everything ourselves for sure, but the kind of experience that the tailors and the masters have, we cannot get that even if, like, you know, no matter how hard we try, it comes with time and practice. So I don't think we would be able to deliver quality products. So I don't think we would choose to do it ourselves, because if a customer comes to me and they are not happy with the product, they would never come back. So that's not a risk worth taking. So maybe we wouldn't.
And moreover, doing this by ourselves would, like 90% of it would mean actually stitching, like executing the garment on your own. And yes, we are given like a lot of technical knowledge in college, like we even know how to stitch, but
Just what you can delegate, you would rather delegate. I mean, things that no one else can do but you would rather focus your energy on that and just like get people to do things for you.
no, but what I was saying is, even after that knowledge,
We can't do it.
you cannot physically be on the machine and stitch and be like, okay, you know, this collar has to be turned from here and you need to insert like 3 extra layers of fabric for it to be that stiff.
Just the technical bits.
The technical soundness, I don't think.
Yeah, comes with practice, I think.
Your answer just made this a very, very expensive business, right? It comes with this word called money. So let's talk money. Let's talk about how much money would it take to set up Nesolo today, and what kind of growth have you guys seen on a revenue basis or a profit basis, and have you been able to take any money out of the company yet?
Because for the first 1.5, 2 years, we were struggling. We haven't been able to actually take the kind of money we would want to. I think if we started today, we would probably need 20-25% more than what
I was going to say like
more than what we start with, because everything, the price of raw materials increase every year, the cost of labor increases every year. So I think 25, you would say more?
I would say more, 100%. Also, my math might not be accurate, because also we had the space
Oh, we were not paying rent initially.
We were not paying rent for a good 1.5 years because we were using an old office.
So all of that would add up. Like the admin cost would also be higher.
But even if you consider the rent of that space, I believe even starting Nesolo today would be at least 1.5 times more expensive.
Yeah.
At least. Than what we invested.
4 years back.
Is there a number to that?
So we do have a number, but it wasn't all invested at once. So see, I give you a number of say 20 lakhs put into the business, but all 20 wasn't invested in the first year of the business itself. So from that office, we made a jump to like a smaller space somewhere in Baliganj, which was again like you have to pay like a particular amount of deposit, you start paying rent, you start paying electricity, you increase your team, then you infuse a little bit, then we made another jump. Right now, like currently we are in Southern Avenue, which is an even bigger space. So again, obviously the deposit, the rent, the electricity, the number of people, they go up.
Us scaling up, I feel like
Scaling up, exactly.
everything has had an additional cost, and I think we've scaled up faster than we
thought we would.
Yeah.
What have your revenue numbers looked like over the past 4 years? Let's say the first 2 years are trash. Let's get rid of them. What has it been since?
So I wouldn't say we have a clear image of this year as yet. Also because we compare it to the revenge buying of after COVID. Like right after COVID, people were spending every last penny that they had.
Yeah, like people were going mad. Like I was, as a brand owner, I was like, where are they going wearing these clothes? Like I'm happy selling, but where are you wearing them? I couldn't understand.
And where are
you
you
getting the money from? We didn't understand what was happening. But I think this year it's slowed down a bit.
No, so this year is a reality check that this is how people buy. Like this is their curve and this is our curve. And we are not supposed to be disappointed if we sell 10 or 20 garments less than last year per exhibition, because this is the normal rate at what people buy or people spend or how much you can earn. Last year was unreal expectations because we were doing like bizarre numbers in an exhibition. So we were also just like, what is happening?
The thumbnail of this video is revenge buying. Okay, I love that word. I've never heard that word before, but it's great.
It was actually, we did term this revenge buying. Like I heard it from a lot of people. So when you set up exhibitions, people like other fellow like brand owners also sort of start becoming more than like, they start becoming your family because you stay with them, you have breakfast with them, you like sort of discuss how your day was.
Time with
Yeah, exactly. So like very experienced designers also told us that if this is the first year of your exhibition run, then this is a very unreal expectation that you're setting for yourself, and you're set for disappointment next year. Because this is not how it's supposed to be. Like people don't generally shop this much. This is madness.
We would do like, if we were to put a number to it, we would like sell again, like I told you, we did like 10 times of our stall cost, like our exhibition cost in one of our show, like a couple of our shows actually. Say we would invest say 1.5 lakhs or maybe 2 lakhs in an exhibition, and we would like come out of it like making like 10 times of it, 8 times of it, and that's not something you expect. In something like in Calcutta, like I don't know if you've heard of a show called India Story. It's pretty popular. It's like it's like a holistic event. It's got art, it's got fashion show, it's got food, music, everything. So that's been one of our best shows. Similarly, one in Bombay. So these kind of shows have actually set our bar too high, and I think this year it's not going to be the same. But I think it would be about
Similar.
Yeah, similar,
But not
as much.
So a typical exhibition would be how many garments that you're carrying with you, how many garments are you selling? Like you've given us monetary numbers, but like what is the numbers on terms of how much how are you preparing for it? How many garments do you take with you, whether it's in Calcutta, whether it's abroad? Do those numbers vary? I mean, sorry, not abroad, but out of Calcutta. But do those numbers vary, and what's the typical sale?
So you know how we said that we don't sell garments off the rack. We only take orders. So these are essentially our samples. So if we take, say, suppose 80 to 90 outfits, we generally have like a set standard size of a stall we take. So we know, okay, these many clothes will fit in this particular box, and this is how much is okay to carry. And most of these garments are used as samples. So we only take orders on them. We do not sell them off the rack. So we take like a time of 2 to 3 weeks. Some garments even go up to like a month when too intricate or too like hand done, I would say. So this is only on order basis, and these 90 samples are then sent to stores or then used as our display or used again in the next exhibition. So again, exhibitions come in seasons. So pre-Rakhi is a season. So you do like 3-4 exhibitions in the country. Pre-Diwali is again a season. So you do like 5-6 exhibitions in those particular months. So if we end up selling, say, a particular style, then for the next exhibition, we might not be able to replenish that particular style.
No, but what he means is how many pieces do you think if you're carrying, say, for example, I think 90 would be the highest we do.
Yeah, 90.
60 to 70 would be, say, an average of the number of pieces we carry. But if we say carry 60 to 70 pieces, about 15-20 styles do better than the others. 15 styles, I think, do better than the others. And we sell about 80-85 pieces of the 15-20 styles that, actually do well, because some are priced higher than the others. Some just are more attractive to most people than the others. So I think it varies, but about 70-80 pieces.
So these are 70-80 orders that you're taking,
Yeah.
or like something like that. All right,
Yeah.
perfect.
Sorry.
I got my thumbnail, I need my title, and for the title, I need a revenue number. So I want the revenue of your revenge buying year.
I think our highest, so if we give you like a figure of the entire last year, because I feel like the entire last year was revenge buying. It was, be it Rakhi, be it Diwali, be it wedding season, people were just buying. But do we want to reveal the number? Because
If you
that is
don't,
going to
if you
be,
don't, it's fine. You can tell us now.
that's going to be
Yeah.
extremely embarrassing if we don't match it this year, or like maybe even up a step. So I'm not very sure if
Well, you're already prepared to not match it.
It's your,
You're already prepared. You're saying that it's not going to be the same.
But
so you're
it's better,
you've already
right?
sort of.
I'm going to be, which
Yeah.
is why I'm like a little hesitant as to if we want to reveal it, because I know we won't match it.
Give us a ballpark. Okay, give us a ballpark.
I think our revenue, we actually had a target which we didn't meet, but we had a target of one CR for the last year, but we didn't touch that.
But I would say we were pretty close.
Revenue.
Perfect. I
We
think
play with
Akhil, I think you can make
Yeah,
that
I'll
work
manage.
in the title.
I'll manage.
Please, but please don't twist this and be like, this startup is earning like 1 crore in a year. Please don't do that.
Learn how to earn 1 crore in a year selling clothes.
Via revenge.
Revenge buy.
Revenge buying.
So basically, step 1, organize a pandemic. Step 2, make sure people are locked in for 6 months. Step
100%.
3, then let them loose.
Yeah. So, and step 4, do this every 6 months.
Every 2 years.
Yeah, every 2 years. Yes, 2 years is good enough. Yeah.
All right. So we have a very special way we like to wrap up. Our the last entrepreneur we did a recording with has a question that he has left for y'all. We would like you to answer that question, and then we would like for y'all either to come up with 2 questions, or you can decide amongst yourself and give us 1 question, which we will ask to the person who comes on next. So this is a question that is asked to you by Narayan, who is the founder and CEO of Laminar Scientific. He has asked you, how do you stay motivated with failure? And given the first 2 years of yours, I'm sure we have some good experience there?
I think it would definitely be the fact that if you've done better, you actually had a point where you believed in yourself. You know, when you start out, you don't have that belief. You just start out because you're just passionate about it. So you start out with that passion. And there are, of course, like, especially for us, because we started out just before the pandemic, we were struggling initially. And because we came out of it and we saw that we could do better, so today, even if we have a few rough months, I think we will have the confidence to bounce back because we know we've done better in the past. And because we've come out of it earlier as well. I think because these experiences have helped us. Anything you want to add? Also, I think there have been a lot of things that we have been unaware about. Like, we both really struggle with the finances, and we take a lot of help from our family. And I think we are learning every day. So I think as long as we keep learning, I think we'll be okay.
I just want to add one line, and I personally believe in this. In every relationship, if you feel like you have that fire to get that rocket out of your like atmosphere, once it's out, it will float on its own. You need to start with that passion, and of course, you need to continue with that passion, but
Because that's not easy. I mean, just continuing the same way is not easy because things are always happening, right? I mean, and so many things don't go our way. But I think just knowing that you've done it in the past and you can do it again, I think.
no, and a lot of people say that, oh, I'm learning every day, and that's like motivation enough for me. But I don't know, I have a very different way of seeing that why are you learning is because you don't know. So that's quite demotivating in general. Right, I mean, if we struggle with finances, yes, why are you learning? Yes, you can see it in a better light that, yes, I'm learning like new things every day, but that is at some point in like the day, or like when you're sitting alone at night, you realize that, okay, why am I learning this? Is because I don't know. So that could be quite demotivating. But if you feel like you're passionate enough for like something that you're doing, like, I think even after 4 years, when I spot a Nesolo or when she spots a Nesolo, we share a photo with each other. And even if it's like an unauthorized sly photo, see, I spotted Nesolo. So that is still a thing that, you know, we like seeing people in our tunes. So I think that is motivation enough.